Hey, Ray Del Vecchio here from websiteprofitcourse.com, and I want to talk about how hard it is to learn WordPress. This is an issue I've dealt with in a couple of forums. I've gotten emails from people, and I did a subscriber survey a while back asking why people haven't started their first website or blog. The two most common reasons that I got is that people are beginners with WordPress, and number two, they think it's going to take too much work. These answers just disturb me because it shows me that people are looking for an easy button. You got to start with the mindset, realize that if you're just getting started with something, if you're a complete beginner with WordPress, it's going to take time to learn it. You can't expect to jump in there and be an expert and know how to do everything within a couple of days. And this is even more true with WordPress because of how powerful and flexible it is. A lot of the intricacies of how to edit your website have to do with the themes you're using and the plugins you're using. And the chances that I'm using the same ones as you, it's pretty slim unless we're doing the exact same type of website. The other issue that I see all the time is the difference between an external deadline and a self-imposed deadline. If you get a task from your boss or, you buy a ticket for a flight, are you going to miss that? Are you going to miss the deadline for your boss? Are you going to miss the trip to the airport? No, of course you're not. You're going to get there on time. You're going to prepare in advance. But people that are building WordPress blogs or websites generally are doing it on their own accord, and they don't set deadlines for themselves to get things done. And because of that, the project drags on and on. If they do set a deadline, if there's nobody holding them accountable, they're probably just going to push it back. And you're never going to make progress if you have this mindset of, I need somebody else to hold me accountable. You got to be self-accountable and do things on your own if you're interested in learning. I mean, if you're not and you want to, have the easy button and make money quickly, well, that's just not going to work for you. And that's the worst mindset that you can have going into the online space. To expect to become an expert and, make hundreds of thousands of dollars, I see that all the time on these YouTube ads that are targeted to me, and it's absurd. A good quote that I've heard here, I think I heard this through the Tim Ferriss podcast. I know he got it from somebody else. But that is hard choices, easy life, easy choices, hard life. And people are always looking for easy choices. They skip the hard way. They don't want to take the long journey. They don't want to have mistakes and roadblocks and all that. And that's where all the learnings come from. You can't read a book and go through a tutorial once and know exactly how to do everything. You got to do it yourself, learn the hard way, see how it applies to your life. I touched on this, that you got to think about the time frame. I've been using WordPress since 2009, and I consider myself an expert with it. I know I have the ability to figure out almost anything, but with that said, I get a lot of questions of people saying, like, how do you do this with this particular theme? And I haven't used that theme before, so I would have to go in there, and I would feel like a beginner going into a new theme and trying to figure out how to edit something with a theme that I've never used before. If you don't think that I have moments where I curse to myself, curse at the computer screen, you're sadly mistaken. The thing that really makes WordPress become easy is the repetition. You have to be in there almost every single day, if not every day, at least every week. Because what I've found is a lot of repeating tasks that I do, that I only do maybe once a month or once every couple of months, every single time I do them, it feels like I'm doing it for the first time. Whereas if you do something every day or multiple times a week, you start to build that repetition up and you have more stored in your mind where you can easily access it and you don't have to go back, search Google, that kind of thing, go through tutorials to figure out how you did something before. I really think when it comes to creating your processes, you got to do something maybe 5 to 10 times. And once you get past about 10 times of doing something, that's when it really starts to become brainless and easy. But before that, it's super tedious, and usually the first 2 or 3 times you do it, it might take you 10 or 20 times, maybe even 100 times as long as it's going to take you once you do it 10 times and you know exactly what you're doing. This is a core philosophy of mine that I found in every single area of my life, that habits are more important than anything. And most people want, again, the shortcut. They want the step-by-step process that they have to take, but they're not willing to put in the work day in and day out for months or years at a time to actually build those habits where it's part of your life. You actually want to wake up and do the work as opposed to wake up and figure out how to skip that hard process. Another thing that I see with WordPress beginners is that they're focusing on all the little stuff that doesn't really matter. The biggest thing is people want to perfect the design of their website, having never built a website and having never used a WordPress theme. And they spend maybe months or even a year or two to try and get the perfect design, figure out how to edit all the little stuff, the color scheme, images, and they don't spend any time making a video, writing a blog post, putting content out there, showing your personality. Somebody can go to a completely blank website that's black and white, minimalist, but if you have a great blog post, they're gonna connect with you. And the complete opposite is true. If you don't have any content, but you have a great design, nobody cares about that. Now, of course, if you have a business website, you don't want it to look like it was made in 1990, but that doesn't mean that you need elaborate design or animations or anything crazy like that. All you need is a minimalist theme, a little bit of consistency with the colors, and you gotta tell your story. People relate to stories more than they do a design. If you really want to accelerate your progress, you got to track what you're doing. You have to use a calendar. I know most people, again, they probably get tasks from their boss. Maybe they have a work calendar. But when it comes to their own life, projects that they want to accomplish, if they want to start freelancing, create a side income, you don't actually track what you're doing day to day. And if that's not the case, then you're never going to be able to look back and see how much progress or lack of progress that you've made. So I highly recommend that you track everything that you do. At the very least, like I said, use a calendar, Google Calendar, or even a print calendar. Write down what you're doing every day. Just make sure that you have a broad sense of what you're doing and that you can look back at your past month or couple of months and say, I worked on these things, I made progress on these things, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. You could say, I'm on the right track and I will get there. And at that point, you can kind of figure out what's pushing you forward and what might be holding you back. That's all I got for this video. I know that this was more mindset. We didn't dig into any technical side of WordPress. If you do want a full tour of the admin area, I got a complete video series that's gonna help you out and take you step by step. That's great if you already have access to a WordPress website and you wanna know how to edit from the back end, or if you want to create a new WordPress website and just get an overview of how everything works. And then if you want to create a blog, I have a 14-day training that's going to take you step by step to launching your blog, writing your first blog post, and sharing it on social media. Both of those links are in the description below. And just like I mentioned in this video, for that blog, I use a default WordPress theme, and I really am minimalist, where you only spend maybe 15 or 20 minutes customizing the design side. Because like I said, you're not going to get found in Google. You're not going to have people connecting with you unless you start writing and putting content out there. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel for more WordPress videos. And if you got any questions, leave them in the comments below. Like I said, if I haven't used a theme, if I haven't used a plugin that you've used, I generally can't help you out, but I do know the basics of where everything is within WordPress. And I'm always interested to hear how you're using WordPress, since it can be used in every scenario, from e-commerce to small business websites to blogging. And I've seen a bunch of other creative uses with it. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this entire video. I'll link up a few other videos here if you want to keep learning, and I hope you join me on the next one.